Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to create some mini pillows which will look sort of like these. So if you guys do want to see more craft, crochet, or business videos from me, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the post notification bell. That way you know every single time I upload a brand new video. And with that, let's just get straight into this. So these are two mini pillows that I made in the past that are actually listed on my shop, and I am currently updating my shop to be only mini pillows and crochet patterns as the listings, so that will be a change, but that's kind of a side note. But anyways, this is one that I added to my shop last year for Halloween, and there's just some Halloween candies on here, and of course it's in orange, so it's more of a fabric for Halloween. But these are a super easy beginner project that you can make. So with that, I'm going to get into the materials you will need and then we will get started. So all of the materials that I am going to show you guys, I will include links for in the description box for the fabrics and the sewing machine and specific stuff like that. I may not be able to find the exact ones that I have, but I will do my best to find something similar and link it for you guys. Also, if you are interested in just buying one of the mini pillow sets instead of making them yourself, most of them will be added to my shop by the time this video goes up. If they are not added yet, they will be soon. But anyway, with that, let me show you all the materials. So first you're going to need some fabrics. Now, I have more red ones picked out and even some Christmas ones because currently my sewing machine has red thread in it. So I wanted to use the red fabrics while I have the red thread in my sewing machine. And then whenever I go to like a black fabric or a white one or something like that, I will change the threads. But I wanted to make all the ones out of red that I was going to do while there's red already in my sewing machine. But anyway, you will need some fabric. Probably about a yard is plenty unless you're planning on making more than 2 of them. I always make my pillows in a set of 2, but you shouldn't need more than like a yard or half a yard for that. I have a bag of polyfill stuffing. This is just a 12-ounce bag. I have all of these bags all over the place in my house because between crochet and sewing projects I use a lot of this, but you won't need more than this for just 2 pillows. And that's like the average size bag that they sell at Walmart and Michael's and stuff. I have my rotary cutter and fabric scissors. You only need one or the other really, but my rotary cutter, the blade on it is kind of dull, so I do have my regular fabric scissors in case I need them. If you are using a rotary cutter, you'll want to have one of these mats. This is like a pretty big size one, but you want to just have this so you don't end up cutting into your tabletop or your flooring, whatever it is that you are using as your flat surface. And plus this has measurements on the side, so you don't need like an additional tape measure or anything like that. And I also have this clear piece that also has measurements on it, and this is just for a straight edge when you're cutting along the side with the rotary cutter. So those 2 things are kind of optional, but they are something that I will be using. Finally, I have my sewing machine, which you can sew this by hand, but it will take a lot more effort, so I will be using my sewing machine. This is one that's at least like 7 or 8 years old. We've had this for a very long time. But it is a Brother sewing machine, which we haven't really had any problems with other than user error, so I would recommend this. Obviously, I don't think you can get the same exact one because they have newer ones now, but I would recommend the brand. And then of course you will need thread that is sort of a matching color to whatever fabric you are using, preferably, but it doesn't necessarily have to be matching. Okay, so now with all of the materials out of the way, I'm going to show you guys how I cut the fabric and then the sewing portion and putting it all together, and that will be it for this tutorial. But with that, let's just get straight into this. Okay, so I have positioned the camera to where you guys can see what I am doing. So I have this little suction cup thing on top of the straight edge that I have for cutting the fabric. I apologize that I don't know the exact terms for all of these items, but I will link them in the description box for you guys and try to put the correct names in the description box if I can find them. And then I also have my mat here and my fabrics. So I'm going to start out with this gingerbread fabric, which is actually a really soft one, so I think it will be good for pillows. So for these mini pillows, there's no exact size that I make them. Every time I make them a little bit different, they can be. So I think considering the amount of fabric I have left, I'm actually just going to cut this in half like this. So I have about 17 or 18 inches of fabric here, so I'm just going to be cutting this in half, which would be about 9 inches, and this is folded over, so there will be a front and a back side already to it. So I'm just going to flip this way so that I can actually be cutting it towards me. And the way I do the cutting is I use this straight edge to line it up completely with the straight edge on the mat, and I use my rotary cutter actually standing up so I can get pressure on the rotary cutter, and I use this to make a straight line across. Okay, so that is the fabric for both of these cut. Now I personally don't like the look of all the edges being sewn and then one of them being the fabric attached, so I am actually going to unfold this and cut it in half for both of these pieces of fabric, just so I can sew all 4 sides and they're all sewn so they all look the same, if that makes sense, instead of one just being the fabric attached and being folded and the rest of the sides all being sewn. It's just a thing for me, I don't know why. But this is about a 24-inch piece of fabric, so about 24 by 12-ish is what this is. Okay, so now we have 2 ends, and I'm going to do this on the other piece of fabric as well. And another way that'd be easy to do this is to just keep it folded and then cut it with fabric scissors. That's what I'm doing for the second one. I think it's actually easier than unfolding it and all of that. And you don't have to worry about these edges being completely perfect because they will be sewn on the inside. Okay, so now that I have 2 sides for 2 pillows, I'm going to put 2 of them off to the side and keep 2 of them here. And I'm going to bring my sewing machine up here. Okay, so I have everything plugged in now, but I did put this off to the side for just a second so I can show you guys what I'm doing with the fabric next. So right now I have both of the outward ends facing outward, but I am going to flip this to where both of the ends that you want to be outside, so the front of the fabric are both facing each other like this, to where both of the outward ends are facing you whenever you flip it. This is just so that once we're sewing, the seams will be on the inside, and then we will flip it right side out and stuff it and everything. So another part that is completely optional if you would like to is you can pin these together to where they will stay as you are sewing. I personally don't need to do that because I've made these so many times that I just know how to hold the fabric to where it will stay in place. But if you are more of a beginner sewer, you can easily take some pins and put them through to where they are holding both sides of the fabric together, and then just take them out as you're sewing along. So I am just starting on one of the long sides, and then I will be going on 3 of the sides. So you do just want to make sure that your thread, both threads are in your machine correctly before you get started, and then you will just put your presser foot down and use the foot pedal to make the sewing machine start going. And something that I always like to do when I have sewn to the point where it is coming out the back is I just like to make sure that the seam is good and that it is tight, and you know, it's going to stay together as I'm going, because sometimes you can run out of the bottom thread without realizing, and then you'll actually only be sewing through one of the pieces of fabric and not both. So again, you just want to be careful as you're going and make sure that everything is working properly. And as you're sewing, make sure you're not too close to the edge because you don't want it to come undone if you are going over the edge. So I just like to make sure that the presser foot is almost exactly lined up with the edge of the fabric, and it gives you a nice edge that will be on the inside of the pillow once we are done and we flip it inside out, or right side out, I guess it would be. Okay, so once you get close to the edge, I just start going a little slower, and once I get sort of to the edge, I will pick up the presser foot and rotate the project. So your needle should be still in the project, but the presser foot is up to where you can rotate it. And I'm just going to adjust the fabric how I need it to be going straight through the sewing machine. And I'm going to put the presser foot back down, and then I'm going to continue sewing in a straight line until I get to this next corner edge. Okay, so now that I'm here on this edge, I am again going to be lifting up the presser foot with the needle still in the project, rotating, and continuing onward. Okay, so now I'm at the edge of this one. I'm again picking up the presser foot and rotating, and I will be only going about halfway on this seam so we can flip it right side out and stuff the pillow. Okay, so now that I'm about halfway on here, I am just going to use this button right here, which I'm not sure if you can exactly see, but this is just the back stitch button. So if you do the back stitch over when you're about to finish, it just secures it. And now I'm going to use the rotate, or the needle lift thing over here. Again, I'm sorry that I don't know all the terminology, but then I'm just going to pull on the project and snip the threads, and now all of it is together besides the little area that we left. So I'm going to be using this little area to flip the project right side out. So then you just want to kind of stick your hand in here and use your fingers to push out the edges. And now I'm just moving the sewing machine back so I can show you guys how I am stuffing this. So I just grabbed stuffing out of my bag of polyfill, which I will probably need more, but I like to take it in kind of like handful amounts and just start packing it in, starting in like the opposite corner and then just making my way up, and kind of trying to make sure that all of the stuffing is in the corners and just really packed in there nicely, but also not to the point where it's going to be like super firm, because I do like these to be a little more of a squishy pillow. But that's obviously up to personal preference. So you want to make sure that this is stuffed exactly the way you would like it, because after this we're going to be closing up this hole, and you don't want to decide that you would prefer it with more stuffing after you have closed it up already. That would not be good. So for me personally, this is a good amount of stuffing, and I do just like to kind of massage it so it's all nicely in there and there's not like any clumps. So now I will be taking the edge of this fabric and folding it in, so like this, kind of just a little lip, folding it for both sides, and then you can pin this or you can just hold it and sew. So if you do sew it like this, that means the seam will be on the outside. So that is obviously an option, and if you are a beginner, that may be easiest. So for closing this up, I'm going to be using a needle and some thread. So I'm honestly not going to be the best at explaining this to you guys, so I'm just going to link the video in the description box for you on how to do what is called an invisible stitch. That is what I use on these pillows to close up the seam here. But like I said, if it's easier for you guys, you can just use the sewing machine and fold in these edges and then sew over. That works completely fine as well. But I am personally going to be using the invisible stitch. As I said, that tutorial will be linked in the description box for you guys. So if you want to do that, you can watch that video, because that's how I learned how to do this. So I figured I'm probably not the best at explaining this. So just gonna link it in the description box for you. But once I have done that, that is the end of this pillow, and I will make the second one off camera and then show you guys the final product afterwards. Okay, so I have finished both pillows, and this is what they look like. So super cute, and again, just a really cute set. Somehow this one came out a little more rectangular and this one came out a little more square. Not exactly sure how, because I'm pretty sure I cut the fabric exactly the same, but stuff like that happens, so it doesn't really bother me. But if it does bother you, then just make sure that you're measuring it exactly whenever you are making this and trying to keep like the same seam allowance. Anyway, this is what they look like, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below if this sewing tutorial was helpful for you guys, and if you would like to see more sewing tutorials from me, because like I said, this was my first one, but I could do more sort of beginner level ones if you guys are interested. And if you guys did like this video and you want to see more craft, crochet, or business videos from me, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the post notification bell. That way you know every single time I upload a brand new video. And if you want to check out the materials that I used, more videos of mine, my blog, my podcast, my Etsy shop, or my social medias, all of that is included in the description box down below for you guys. And like I mentioned earlier, quite a few of these that I am making will be added to my shop soon if they're not already on there. So if you would like to check that out, that is always included in the description box down below. And with all of that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!